Have you been thinking about entrepreneurship? I know that being an entrepreneur could be hard. There's successes, there's failures, there's a lot of things that we need to learn being an entrepreneur, right? But today we actually are going to talk to a successful entrepreneur in the real estate industry. We're going to ask him about the trips, the little tricks that he does, the little failures that he had, how he overcame all those struggles that he'd had, throughout his life. So we're going to talk to him today, and I have the pleasure to sit him right in front of the one and only Tony Medina Jr. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
How you doing today?
It's good to be here.
Enjoying life? Enjoying the weather?
Life. Blessed and unstoppable.
We're weather.
Yep.
How's everything? How's the family?
Everything is, I'm abundantly blessed, man. Family's doing well. Everybody's
Awesome.
healthy. Thank you for asking.
Baby's good?
Baby's good. Adorable.
Wife good?
Wife is good. Yes.
Awesome. Business?
Good. Business is thriving.
It's thriving. Yeah. All right, so let's get started real quick here with you. Let me ask you a few questions first. For those that don't know you, where you come from, where you from, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'll keep it brief. So my dad moved to Vegas when I was a small boy, and my mom moved to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is where I was raised. At 18, I got into the bar industry, hospitality, and eventually I became a bar manager. And my dad came to me one day and he said, "Hey, how would you like to go and train under the #1 Latino agent in the United States of America?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know anything about real estate, but I'll go meet him. So
You're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I had no idea. So I took a drive down to Washington, D.C., where Juan Martinez was being inaugurated as the national president for NAREP. And I kid you not, man, from the moment I met that man, I was inspired. He called me out on stage and, inspired me to buy a one-way ticket and fly out across the country. I leased out my house, sold all my stuff, bought a one-way ticket to Vegas, and the rest is history.
And this is when you were in Pennsylvania?
I was in Pennsylvania. I was
23.
You
were close to D.C., so
yeah. Yeah, it was like 4 hours.
Yeah. So you decided to go into real estate because your dad kind of made a suggestion.
Yeah.
Or he introduced you to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he saw something in you. Yeah. Now, how will you compare what you did before to what you do now?
Oh, it's night and day, but, it was a blessing having been trained in the hospitality industry because I was trained on customer service,
correct,
how to take care of people, how to put, a smile on your face from the moment you walk through the door and always make it about the customer.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, obviously your team is one of the top teams here in the state, #2 in the brand in Century 21 in the state. Now, you weren't there before, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't start like that, right?
Yeah, we don't start like that.
Tell me about the beginnings of real estate. Was there a struggle when you first started in real estate?
For me personally, it was just really interesting because when I came out here, I had no idea what I was going to do.
Okay.
This man promised to make me a millionaire. And as long as I was willing to work 10, 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. So I came out here and he literally just slid a 1-page over to me and a yellow book and was like, that's it.
Yeah, back in the day.
I was like, this is it? Like, what about this? What about that? He's like, I don't want you to worry about all this stuff. You got one script and you got a stack of phone numbers to call. And that's literally it. I started making 50 to 100 contacts a day. I didn't have a family out here. I didn't have anybody. So I was in a position.
That was your life back then.
Yeah. So I was in a position where I was really blessed that I could work. I was in the office at 7 to 7 every day and 50 to 100 contacts a day. And the first year, just from that, it was one home a month.
Wow.
So 12 transactions just listed, just sold calls. And
from the white pages.
Yeah. And then 20 in total.
Yeah. So obviously, now for those of you who don't know that Tony actually met his wife while working at Century 21.
Yeah.
And now they have this very successful team here in Las Vegas. And she's also a real estate agent. But did that distract you a little bit? Let's be honest.
Well, in the beginning, it was a lot more distraction than it was focus. Yeah.
But you're still successful, and you guys were able to build a team. How is it to work with your partner on a team?
It's a blessing, man.
Like, it's a 24-hour business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had to put boundaries in place, and we've worked with mentors and coaches to separate the work-life balance. But it is a blessing, man. She's been an inspiration to me on a consistent basis. Her work ethic outshines most people that I know.
Yeah.
And she's been my rock to keep me going through the hard times. and she's the best player on our team, in my opinion.
Awesome. Now let's go back real quick to the beginnings again.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you thought this is not for you? Like,
Oh, yeah.
You're like, this shit ain't for me. Like,
That happened a few
is not
times,
for
man.
me.
That happened a few times. I can't tell you the amount of times. I remember in 2020, especially, I thought about hanging up the realtor hat and going back into the hospitality business. We had 1 month where we had 8 transactions that just fell through in 1 month.
Oh, wow.
So, I started looking at things, and, Angela turned to me and she said, nope, we're doubling down. That's when we actually went from one-on-one coaching to premier coaching.
Okay.
So we doubled our prospecting, our amount of hours we were working, and it was actually, we did better in 2020 than we did the previous year.
Awesome. But this is when you already had your team. But what about when you first started? When Juan brought you,
Oh.
and you're like, you really want me to do this shit? Like, was there something that you...
No, there was never, for me personally, no. Because, I met a man who inspired me, and this is why I'm a firm believer that it's great to be inspired, but it's better to be an inspiration because of what he did for me. I had this faith that if I just followed through, and he taught me how to fish. From the moment I saw that I could pick up the phone and find somebody who needed help in selling their home
Without hesitation.
I was just, and I didn't have any, and I didn't have kids, I didn't have many responsibilities, so there was really no other option for me. I burned all the bridges.
Now, if you were to go back and start all over again, I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but what would be the first thing you do?
It depends on how far back, right?
Okay.
If I could think, if I could go further back and if I knew I was going to be in real estate, man, I'd start making, a better list of names and numbers and watching out to some degree my reputation, out there. I'd be a little bit more cautious about that. But really, if I could go back, it would just be, I'd just put more time into practice. Okay. More than anything.
So more practice?
Yeah, I practice a lot though.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about if you saw somebody right now that's brand new? Let's say, we get a lot of brand new agents and stuff, but they're going into a market that is not normal. What would you suggest for them to do?
I have this conversation. I have a passion for the newer agents because I've seen so many over the years come in to the office and then just get burnt out and fade away. It's just, over 80-90% of them. So when I meet new people, what I try to ingrain into their brain is that in the beginning, you make up for what you lack in skill with numbers. In the beginning, I didn't have all the skills. I didn't know the objection handlers. I didn't know the outcomes to many scenarios, but I made up for what I lacked in skill with numbers. And I think that's where a lot of newer agents drop the ball. And number 2 is practice until you can't get it wrong, not just until you get it right.
Okay.
So those 2 things. And then the third thing is definitely the mindset. Protect your mindset. Don't allow the distractions of the world, the noise to discourage you, to delay the blessing, and to discourage you and distract you from doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is picking up the phone or going out and knocking on doors.
Talking to people.
Talking to people.
Now, I hear that. Obviously, we've been hearing that.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that shit for like 20 years. But do you think the way that everything is going nowadays with technology and social media and all this stuff, is it talking to people the same?
Yeah.
Do you think still works the same?
Yeah, I think that the thought that it doesn't is a distraction.
Okay.
I think most people, because they believe that, technology and we're talking to people differently, but I've still found it to be true. There's nothing like, because most people think that way, so most people aren't picking up the phone and reaching out.
They're text, right?
They're texting.
Yeah.
There's really, truly nothing like having a rich conversation, which is becoming more rare in today's world, in my opinion.
Now, what do you think about this disruptive companies, iBuyer companies, all these companies where you can actually buy without talking to somebody, I guess? I mean, now
they're out there.
What do you make of those companies in today's business?
Yeah, I mean, discount brokerages and companies like that, investor type businesses have been around since the beginning of real estate. I think that for an agent who's really trying to be successful in this business, I mean, we all need to make a personal decision on what our business is going to look like.
Right.
There's many different ways to do it, but from what I found, there's there's still people out there that need help. I mean, you got a lot of people that I can't tell you how many times on a consistent basis I'm having conversations with a lot of people who they want the most out of the sale of their house. They want to work with somebody who's going to communicate with them. They want a live person, and I don't believe that tech will ever be touch. I just personally don't.
Yeah.
So
it won't have that personal touch for people.
For people. I mean, it just reminds me of picking up the phone and getting on a 1-800 automated line number. Operator.
Right, 00.
Yeah. And is that really what's best for you? I mean, those automated systems don't take under consideration a multitude of variables that come into play, because there's no one way to price a home.
Yeah.
You know, like if my mom lives next to the house, I'm going to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
And if it's my mother-in-law, I might pay a little,
Yeah, maybe less. A little further away. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, right now, industry is changing. The market is changing. There's a lot of things going on, politics and immigration and all this fear going out. Have you seen any pushback on that on your business?
Yeah. I mean, seasons of elections, that's a conversation that we're, we always see. It's always been there, every 4 years. We're waiting until after the elections. But people who have to do something, they're still buying and selling. We still have transactions. I mean, you've got 2,500 to 3,000 homes selling every month. You double that because there's two sides of this transaction. I mean, there's 6,000 deals. Yeah. 5,000 to 6,000 deals being done every month. Can I get one?
Yeah, right.
So
how
people are still doing things.
Now, what is a top producer life like on a daily life?
On a daily life?
How do you prepare yourself for every morning? For every day of going into the trenches?
Yeah, great question. So above all else, the first thing I do every morning is get my mind right, get my spirit right, get my body right. In order to pour out, you got to fill your own cup up. So for me, it starts with prayer every day, counting my blessings. I try to operate on a daily basis out of a place of abundance. And in order to do that, I have to remind myself of how abundantly blessed I am. So my gratitude prayers, first thing every morning, counting my blessings, putting on my full armor, reminding myself of my purpose. And then once I get to the office, it's filling up with some caffeine so I can get some energy and enthusiasm, slapping myself around a little bit, chanting my affirmations, practicing. I'm still chanting my scripts, over a decade later. I'm still working on my objection handlers. I'm still in role play first thing every morning right before I get on the phone. So I get my numbers right, get myself, it's kind of like a cockpit. You think of an air pilot, it's like check.
Make sure your pen's here, your 3x5s are here and all that.
Exactly.
Now, a lot of people don't know this, but he has a pen I don't know if you can see it, but he has a pen and a 3x5 next to him. Now, when I saw him this morning, he had his you can show me a briefcase. He had his briefcase, and I'm like, Tony, where you going, bro? He was like, you ain't signing nobody in there. I said, we're doing a podcast. But it's so funny. I was telling him, it's so funny how you've been doing this so long that's already you. That's part of you. Like, there's something that you're going to pick up. There's your briefcase, there's something you're attached to that. Just like you said, you go into your office and you make sure your desk, your dialer, your headphones, your pen, your 3x5s, and it is where you at, because any moment you can just reach out for that one thing and you know where it's at, right? So it's about structure. Yeah. It's about structure. And how long did it take you to have that structure all lined up?
Oh, yeah. It took a while.
It took a while?
Yeah.
Are you still trying to perfect it, or you think it's already...
Every day it can get better and better.
Yeah?
Yeah. It definitely took a while. In the beginning, it was like... if I look back, it was just like, I'm just going. Like, it's just going. And it's like no boundaries, no guardrails. It's just, I'm falling, I'm tripping. And it's like every time you fall, every failure, it's like, okay, I forgot I need this, or I forgot I need that. With the briefcase, it's my notepad, it's my notes. I've found Juan and a lot of mentors, just especially Mike Ferry. I've learned that when I write things down, they resonate with me more. I tend to remember things better. And also, like, if I pick up I'm always looking for a good thought, because good thoughts, they don't just come to you. You got to go out and look for them. And if you miss it, they'll pass you by.
Yeah.
So I always have either my book bag with my notes or a good book just in case I need to take a break and read and refresh.
Talking about reading, well, first of all, on that writing thing, okay, I don't write stuff. Well, I do write stuff. I don't write stuff to read because I can't read my own handwriting. I do write stuff to remember.
Yeah.
And kind of what you said, like I write, and my writing is like, but I know what I wrote. And I remember, right? And if I look at it, I remember what I meant to say on that, right? But it's horrible. You don't want to see my writing. But talk about reading. Yeah. For entrepreneurs, people going into business, what books? And I know you read tons of books. I don't read anymore. I listen because I fall asleep. But what would you recommend? What book would you recommend? Give me two good ones.
So that's a great point. Number one, along those lines, I hated reading books too. Growing up, I hate, like every time in school they'd force us. I hated that. And then when Juan said you got to read more books, I was like, this guy. But you know,
what is this, high school?
what I learned was people are auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. So I discovered I'm auditory.
Okay.
So I can listen to books with a passion, and I do that more often. If I read a book, it's usually 5-10 pages at night to put me to sleep. It'll put me to sleep.
Me, one or two, I'm done.
Yeah.
I need a visual.
Me too.
I need a visual somewhere.
But there is power in having a physical book, and then I love to write notes in it. Jim Rohn, one of my favorite guys to listen to, he talks about how if you really want to know what's in somebody's mind or how successful somebody is to some degree, look at their library. Mm-hmm. If you want to leave your children with something of value, leave them a good library. So Juan taught me, one of our coaching sessions early on, he taught me to turn my vehicle into a learning opportunity, into a library on wheels. He said, Tone, how long does it take you to get to work? About 30 minutes. How long does it take you to get home? 30 minutes. He's like, if you listen to a book the entire time you're driving and turned off Drake and some of these other songs that you're listening to,
that's an hour reading.
And just listen. That's an hour every day. Imagine how many books you can get through. Yeah. So when I learned that hack, and then
sorry about that, Drake.
Yeah, sorry. Love you, bro.
I love you, bro.
So when I learned that hack and the ability to, like, I found this guy Brian Johnson who does these book recaps. It's like a book in a minute. He gives you the top highlights. There's I forget the name of the book, but there was this CEO who would pay his assistant to go and read the books for him and bring him back the golden nuggets. Nice. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, we need one of those. Yeah. Well, that's what Brian Johnson does on YouTube. But some of my favorite books, hands down, I mean, the Book of Proverbs and the Letters of Paul from the Good Book are by far my favorite. I used to look at Juan and Mike Ferry and Anthony Robbins and Earl Nightingale. I used to look at these guys like these gurus, like, oh my gosh, I would listen and I'm like, oh, that's a great thought. And then I was at church and I started hearing, I'm like, wait a second, that's what Anthony Robbins said. That Jesus said that. Yeah. Wait a second, that's in the Book of Proverbs. Hard work, more money, that's Proverbs. So like when that started clicking, yeah,
he got you.
So by far, those are two of my favorites. But Thinking for a Change, anything by John Maxwell, Earl Nightingale are by far some of the best books I've ever read. I mean, I can go on and on about those. You
mentioned earlier, success. What is success for you?
Success for me it's not about becoming successful. It's about becoming a person of value. Okay. So that's the goal for me. How much more valuable can I get to the people that I serve on a daily basis? That's how I interpret success. Okay.
And what would you say to others success may be? Because it may not be the same.
Yeah. Well, success has many definitions. Right. I've studied it for a long time. One of my favorite definitions of success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal. Okay. So understanding, like, once you have defined what your purpose is and what your goals are, and I mean, it's not just to make more money or to be healthy. It needs to be broken down to something that's very simple. Like if I want to be healthy, I just got to put my shoes on in the morning and get out the door. Like power of habits, right? Yeah. Atomic habits. Success. Yeah.
The progression of goal.
The progression of a worthwhile goal. So it's not about reaching a destination, it's really about who you become along the journey. It's not about becoming it's not about getting $1 million. It's about becoming a millionaire.
Okay.
Changing the mindset. It's about the person who you become, not the destination you reach, in my opinion.
And I think the success have to do anything with, it doesn't have to be tangible, right?
No.
It's more of an inside kind of thing.
Yeah.
And did you learn that at the beginning, or how long did it take you to learn that?
Yeah, no, it took me a while.
It was like, wait, we're still there.
Yeah, because in the beginning, you just want to reach the destination.
Right?
It's
you have
like
a goal and you're like focused on that goal.
Yeah, it's all about the goal. Eventually, you get to a place where it's all about the process. It's like, I just want to enjoy the process.
Right.
I want to enjoy this, whatever it is that I'm doing. And then, if you're lucky, you get to a place where you start to look at the legacy you leave behind. You start to focus on the organization as a whole.
Yeah.
So success it's often defined differently by many different people.
I'm sure it is. So now to finish this up, what tips will you give people going into any business, just entrepreneurial businesses? I know you have a lot of systems that took you time to build.
Yeah.
But what will you say would be your 3 best tips for people to be like, look, if you're starting a business or you're going into an entrepreneurship, experience here, do this and this should help you.
How much time we got?
About 5 minutes.
No. A few things. Number 1, I would say find someone who's done what you want to do. I was blessed to have that, Juan. Having someone above you to help guide you, like if you look at the good book, we all need a Moses and a Joshua. We all need somebody to pour into us, and in turn, we pour into somebody else. I mean, you're never taller than when you're bending over to pick somebody up. So in the beginning, regardless of whatever business you're going into, obsess about it, right? Don't rest in the middle, rest at the end, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
It's burning the bridges. It's just being committed, consistent, disciplined, understand what the fundamentals are of that business, and protect your mind on a daily basis. Every morning you have to wake up and you have to protect your mind. It's like a garden. The weeds are always trying to take away the blessing from the garden. You have to wake up and protect your garden every morning. And the weeds are going to come regardless. So if you don't do that, like the mind is like a factory. What you pour into it is going to come out. So I know it sucks to hear this, but you got to be reading good books on whatever it is that you're studying. Or listening. Yes. Study, practice, teach. You have to study it, practice it, and get to the point where you can teach it. And if you have that mindset, like one day I'm going to be teaching this to somebody else, when you're studying it, you study it in a completely different light.
If you're not obsessed with something, if you're not obsessed about something, should you be doing it?
It depends. People are in different places in their life, so I can't knock on, what somebody's motivation is. I think of my mom, single mother, who's got to put food on the table, right? So, but personally, in my opinion, you ought not be doing something if you don't have a burning desire to achieve a goal that you've set for yourself. Like sometimes what you're doing might be a stepping stone to something greater, and that's okay. Understanding that seasons change, and sometimes I need to make a sacrifice for the greater goal of the team is one thing. But you don't get a second life. Yeah. You only get one. So if you love what you do, you'd never have to work a day in your life, right? We all hear that all the time. So I personally believe you have to have an obsession in order to be the best version of yourself that you can be in whatever it is you do. Well, Tony, I really appreciate you taking the time for being here. Oh, my pleasure. Tony Medina, Central 21 Americana, Alfredo. See you guys in the next one. Shoot.